Welcome to Accreditation Made Easy, the podcast that takes the stress out of accreditation. I am your host, Areaka Jewell, and in each episode, we'll deliver actionable tips, expert insights, and practical strategies to help streamline the process. And of course, make your work life a little easier. Now, whether you're tackling policies, preparing for assessments, or just looking for ways to stay ahead, we've got you covered. Let's simplify accreditation, one step at a time. When we hear the phrase time sensitive, we usually think about the activities that must occur by a certain date within the assessment cycle, you know what I mean? But there's another layer that often gets overlooked. It's the individual proofs that have their own expiration dates. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Accreditation Made Easy. I am your host, Areaka Jewell, and I'm recording this in the last week of 2025, but I'm sure many of you will listen to it in the new year and hopefully others beyond that. So let's make this one for the times, all right? Today I want to talk about the other time-sensitive proofs, and not just the ones that most people immediately think of. I want you to think about things like training certificates that are only valid for a certain period of time, such as truth detection devices, like polygraph or CVSA. How about your CPR instructor certification? And there's probably plenty more. There's also professional licenses that have to be renewed. Think about the psych doctor who maybe sees candidates in the application process. Or maybe you use a psych doctor for fit for duty evaluations. There's promotion lists that maybe by contract have expiration dates. You get the point. There are things that are time sensitive that aren't necessarily defined in the standard. So these proofs can quietly expire while your assessment keeps moving forward. And if you're not tracking them intentionally, it's very easy to miss these things. So how do you track them? Or are you even tracking them yet? It's okay if you haven't thought about it until now. But managing your assessment and all the things within it, that's what you're good at. Okay, the key question becomes this. How do you make sure the most current version is in your assessment without losing sight of what was valid at the time? And what I mean by that is sometimes you can have expired proofs that can still be completely appropriate as long as they were valid during the period in which they were used. This is important, so stay with me. An example might be a polygraph examiner's certification. It was valid during year one of your assessment cycle because they were conducting applicant polygraphs during that time. So that proof demonstrates compliance for that period. The challenge isn't what was valid, it's what's ahead on the horizon and keeping track of what needs to be updated going forward. Okay, so let's talk about a few practical ways to manage time-sensitive proofs so that nothing slips through the cracks. One option is using tasks at the standard level. You can go in to each standard and on the task tab, add a task directly to that standard where the proof lives, and then set a due date for when the new proof will be needed with a buffer, of course. And if that proof renews on a predictable schedule, you can make the task reoccurring at the same interval. The key here is not having to remember all of the individual tasks that you set and which standards, but where do you find all of them after they've been set? You can see every task assigned to a role within that assessment. So if you're acting as the accreditation manager when you create these tasks, then you'll get these tasks in your Power DMS inbox whenever they come due. You can also run reports of all tasks collectively in the system in a variety of different ways, whatever suits your needs. You could see current, maybe you want to see what's upcoming, or maybe you want to see what's already been completed. But that's for another podcast. If you want to know more about this method, check out my helpful tip called Power DMS Tasks. Another option is tracking them in a system that you already use. Now, if you maintain maybe an Excel spreadsheet, a checklist, or a workflow, add these additional time-sensitive proofs to that system with their own due dates. The key here is building a cushion so that you're not reacting last minute. Plus, tracking them in a way that you're already doing makes the most sense, so do what works best for you. Next one, you can also schedule emails in advance. So here you could draft an email to the person responsible for providing the updated proof and use the delayed delivery in the email system so it sends automatically when it's needed. And if you're not familiar with this, hit me up. I'd love to show you how to use it. It's a game changer. And what this is going to do is it's going to take the mental load off of you to remember to do it, and then it ensures that the reminder goes out even when accreditation isn't top of mind. All right, moving on. Calendar reminders are another solid option. Adding expiration dates to your calendar gives you a nice visual of what's coming up. And if you actually use the reminder feature, it can act as an early warning system too. This works especially well for licenses and certifications that have firm renewal dates. And actually, any of these things that we've talked about work really well for certifications and licenses. Nothing says you only need to use one strategy for tracking these. Do one or two or all of them. If it makes sense and makes you feel like you're more on top of things, you do you, my friend. Now, let me share with you my personal favorite strategy. It's automated document reviews. What this means is you make each proof a Power DMS document. So find all these ones that have their own expiration and make those Power DMS documents. Then you can set up an automated review in the Manage Document section under the Review tab. And like clockwork, that document will pop up in the designated person's inbox as a review workflow. No chasing, no guessing, no sticky notes. Just a smooth automation at its best. I'd say it's a set and forget kind of strategy. Well, kind of it is, because it will automatically reset however you design it to be. Seriously, though, once people see how gentle this pops up in their inbox at the same time every time, and they know it means it's time to renew, time to get you a new proof, then they'll eventually be sending you what you need before you even ask for it. Extra bonus here, and this one I've learned the hard way, always set your workflows, including review workflows, up to groups or positions. Don't set them up to actual named individuals. Why? Because we all know that people move positions, they transfer, they get promoted, whatever. But if you set them up to groups or positions, then these reviews will continue no matter who's in the position that it's required for. So just a little tip there for you. If you want to see exactly how this works, check out my helpful tip. You know, I have one for just about everything. That one's called Proofs on Steroids. And in that one, I walk you through step by step how to set up review workflows. Or you can just hit me up if this even sounds remotely interesting to you, and I'll help you with implementing it. Now, I want to pause just a moment and point out any of these methods that we've talked about today can be applied to any time-sensitive or all standards more broadly. You know, the ones that specifically are defined in the standard themselves. The most important thing to do is choose a system that makes sense to you and one that you can realistically maintain, because you know what? Consistency is going to beat complexity every single time. All right, that's it for today's quickie episode. Just a reminder that time-sensitive proofs don't need to be stressful, but they do require a little intentional planning. And with a little intentional planning, maybe the phrase itself, time-sensitive, won't make you cringe. So pick a system, build in reminders, and please let automation work for you wherever possible. That's what the system is made for. And if you don't already know this about me, I am what they call a certified Power DMS expert. So if you ever want to talk about the ins and outs of Power DMS, I'm your nerdy gal. All right, as always, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend, a colleague, supervisor, whoever. And if you're not already signed up for my free helpful tips inside Power DMS Content Hub, it's so easy to do. Just head over to www.accreditationacademy.net/sign up to get started. All right, friends, until next time, let's keep making accreditation easy, one step at a time.